Crazy, crazy weather out there, Joe.
Yeah, it was pretty bad yesterday.
We really got to get into that, man.
Yeah, it was a crazy night of weather, man. And it looks like we're going to be in for another round of storms probably later on this evening, probably around 7 o'clock that they're predicting. They're saying that we're probably going to wind up getting more storms coming off the mountains of Mexico, coming straight to San Antonio, man.
Joe, I need a vacation from my vacations, but I'm not going to complain about it today.
Yeah, it looks like you had some fun over the weekend. I enjoyed some family time, hanging out. I hung out with my sister-in-law. We celebrated her birthday. And also, we had a family barbecue on Sunday. And we're just hanging out. Got to talk with my niece, just hang out with them. Yeah. Like I told you, man, I got nieces to spare. We got so many girls in the family, dude. It's like when they have a get-together, there's like 15, 20 of my nieces there. I'm like, only got 3 nephews. Look at that, Sam Salinas. Trump is going to immediately deport the storms.
What up, Lerma? Already come out firing. I'm so with you, Sohan. There it is. There's the countdown.
Now you can see it. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time. I don't know why it's delayed.
Welcome to another episode of the Area 210 podcast with Mike Jimenez and Joe Garcia. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Join the discussion as we broadcast to you live from beautiful West San Antonio. And remember to tip your hosts as it helps the show grow.
What's up, San Antonio? What's going on, South Texas? This is the Area 210 podcast. My name is Mike Jimenez, joined by Joe Garcia on a wet, kind of dry Tuesday morning. Hope everyone's having a good day today. Last night was crazy when it came to the storms. Right now I'm in Conroe, Texas. Joe is in San Antonio. You got hit with the storms first, Joe. How bad did it get at your house?
It got pretty bad, man. There was quite a lightning show on display. So I think it was around 8 o'clock hour, somewhere around there. My kids come out and they tell me, hey, you got to come outside and check it out. Sky's all lit up. So I was like, all right, I'll go check it out with you guys. So I go outside and we're just there, just watching the storms rolling in. You just see the sky lighting up, man. And then sure enough, you could hear the rumbles of thunder off in the distance. But, man, when that thing pushed through, dude, it was like torrential downpour, a monsoon.
Yeah, there were reports of softball-sized hail in the hill country by Fredericksburg and Junction and those areas up there. Kind of crazy. I know New Braunfels got rocked pretty bad. Some of our good friends on Twitter were showing, pea-size, golf ball-size hail at their house. It was actually kind of crazy. I spent the weekend in Galveston. Went to the beach over there.
You got in the water?
Yeah, for a little bit. It wasn't fun. I became a beach snob. It wasn't Barbados. It wasn't Jamaica. It wasn't Key West. But I got in the water for a little bit. But then I had my sister was in town in Galveston. So she made her way to Lake Charles. So Chica and I decided to go to Lake Charles. Fast forward to last night. Last night, we are staying at Golden Nugget. We're still playing. We're at the pool. We're doing all that stuff. And the goal was to leave late at night to come back to Conroe, which is north of Houston, and just get there late and then wake up for work this morning.
How many hours is that? How many hours is that as far as the drive goes? Because it's like, 4 hours, 3 hours?
From where to where?
From Lake Charles over to Conroe?
2.5 hours.
Okay.
It's 2 hours and 40 minutes, right?
So almost like Corpus.
So anyway, I'm getting on Facebook, I'm getting on Instagram and whatnot, Twitter, and I'm at the casino and I'm looking at the storms coming from San Antonio. And everyone's showing all the hail and all that stuff. And I was thinking to myself, you know what? That's going straight to the Conroe area, straight to the Houston area. It's time to leave, right? So I told Chica, I said, Chica, we got to get out the door by 9:30, right? We were in the pool doing the lazy river and all that stuff at the Golden Nugget Casino. And I told her, I said, Chica, you got 30 minutes to shower and get ready because we're going to get the heck out of here because I'm not going to miss work. And you're not going to miss work because of storms, right? Chica is oblivious when it comes to weather. It's
Yeah.
so funny. So anyway, fast forward, her son gives her a call and says that he had just driven to Austin and that he was having a hard time getting into Austin because of the storms, the lightning, and the hail, and all that. So she started to get worried, right? So I said, we got to get out the door by 9:30. We take off at 9:30. We're driving all the way to Conroe as fast as we can, right? As fast as humanly possible to beat the storms because I'm looking at the radar on the way over, right? It's going to hit, right? We're going to hit. We're about 30 miles away from home. Chica's like, I want Whataburger, right? Took 10 minutes to get her meal. Because of those 10 minutes, we got caught in the rain the last 2 miles and we had to run through the rain. I'm looking at Chica going, you need to have your cheddar biscuit, right? You need to have your honey butter biscuit, right? To make it happen. But anyway, we got inside, the storms went by. But I have a question for you, Joe,
Yeah.
about the storms in San Antonio, the storms in Houston. San Antonio News loves the weather, man. Because all we saw on KSAT and Ken's last night was 24-hour coverage, essentially, of the rain. Here's where it's going. This is where it's at. All of this stuff, right? I'm going on Facebook. I'm following Ken's and KSAT, following KABB, and they're showing all the weather coverage.
Yeah.
Dude, out here, I turn on all the Houston. Guess what? Not a peep, man. They didn't care about the storm. They've seen enough. They don't care about the rain. Why do you think San Antonio loves the weather so much?
I don't know, man. It's been like that for quite some time. I think it's because the weather can get very volatile around here. So everybody has trauma from, you know, flash flooding. Then you get the trauma from all the hail that's come in here. Because
Right.
in years past, it wasn't nearly as bad as it has been now, where you get like softball size hail that's inundated our area where we live at. Because I know you've gotten some of that over there at your home. Thank God, the only thing we've ever had over here is probably golf ball size hail for a quick minute or two. But other than that, we get the small stuff. But it's just, a lot of damage is getting done with these storms that pass through here. And the big thing is that they always talk about make sure that you keep track of this date in case you got to go ahead and call your insurance company
Yeah.
because of roof damage, wind damage, all sorts of stuff happening. It can damage your fences and whatnot. So I think that's why people get like really concerned about the weather. And then, of course, when you're working from home like I do, and I'm sure some other people do, I'm not the only one, power outages, things
Mhm.
of that nature, they're big news because it affects how you're going to commute, how you're going to work, things
Dude,
like that.
we got into the neighborhood, right? And boom, there was a lightning strike nearby, and we saw all the lights turn off to the Target and to the Specs and to the Valero gas station and all that stuff right at the entrance of our neighborhood. It just went completely pitch black. And at that point, Chico's looking over at me going, there's a lot of lightning, right? I'm like, yeah, there might be tornado watches and warnings in the area. It was kind of creepy, man. But we made our way in. We got there safe and sound. Had we left 30 minutes later, we would have been stuck in that bad rain for a good while. But we
Yeah, you
got
can't
home.
see.
We got home just in time. It was brutal. Got me thinking, you ever see the movie Twister? They always say you never get out of the car. My ex-wife and I one time got out of the car because the rain and hail was so bad that we and about 30 other people, like dummies, were underneath an underpass trying to like get out of whatever was there. We were afraid a tornado was going to go on by, but that was years and years and years ago. That was over in Three Rivers, of all
Yeah,
places.
that's actually the safest place. You don't want to be stuck in your car if you are in a tornado. You want to kind of go into the ditch or see if
Yeah.
there's anything you can possibly seek shelter in other than a vehicle because with the wind that a tornado generates, that sucker's going to be going skybound or it's going to be flipped over easily, even though it weighs so much.
Now you mentioned earlier about damages, right,
Yeah.
to hail and all that
Property.
stuff. Man, I gotta talk to people about that, man. Make a big claim if there's a big claim to be had, right? I'm somebody who's insurance licensed, right? Dude, I come across people who I'm trying to like help them out when it comes to auto and home right now. The people who make glass claims and they think it's not going to affect their rate
Oh,
are
bro.
wrong, dude. I'm sorry. Why are you filing a glass claim on something that's $500?
Just pay the $500.
Just pay the $500 because they're going to charge you $3,000 over the next few years in auto premiums and things like that. It's crazy, man. No, but things are drying out. I think it's going to rain again, like you said, later on this week. I'm hoping to be in San Antonio by the end of the week. I got to go visit my kids and things like that. Chica and I are looking for houses in the Helotes area, so we're passing each other. Hey, what about this house? What about that house? But we're about 6 months away from actually making an offer on something. So I'm excited about that. But we're making plans for this summer. I'm going to have my daughter for 6 weeks when she over the summer, which is going to be really fun. We're planning on vacations. Why, Joe? We don't like staying home, man.
Yeah. Look at what Hanover Fist is saying. He goes, "Does Joe work for Doge?" Questions I want answered. No, I don't work for Doge. I'm under the Department of Homeland Security umbrella. I work for HSI, Homeland Security Investigations. What I do, I can't say, but it helps keep you all safe.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Joe, before the show started, you were telling me that there's going to be a new interactive way for our 2,400 subscribers to take part in the show. Obviously, we enjoy the chat, which is on your right-hand side, powered by MCS General Contracting. We enjoy that, right? But now there's a new interactive way that we're going to be allowing our listeners, our watchers in real time to take part in the show. Joe, explain.
Yeah, so what I've been working on here is a new way for everybody to go ahead and, interact with us and become part of the show. We see your comments coming in, and then a lot of you guys will go ahead and either private message us via Twitter, the X, Facebook, various other social media outlets. And also, they're going to go ahead and text me or Mike privately as we're doing the show. Now we have a catch-all. So you can go ahead and text us at this number here, 830-391-9164, and you can share your media with us, meaning that if you find a link on the X or Facebook, anywhere, and you say, hey, I think this is interesting, you guys should talk about it, or we're talking about a certain subject, and hey, I found a photo, a video, something that you'd like to share, just text it to this number here, and we'll be happy to show that on screen. It's just a new way to add interactivity between us and you guys, so you all are really part of the show and making it go. So if you have any interesting topics you'd like to talk about in the context of us doing the show, let us know. We're all ears, and we'll listen to you guys. And again, just another layer of getting more interactive with the fan base.
That's very cool, man. Again, we appreciate all the super chats that come in. It gets reinvested within the show. Thank you so much for that. It doesn't get used to pay CPS bills or SAWS bills. We just reinvest in the show because we like having this hobby. We like being part of this community and having this community with you. Let's talk sports, pop culture, and nostalgia, man. What do we have going on? Oklahoma City Thunder are one game away from the NBA Finals, winning a nail-biter last night against the Minnesota Timberwolves, now up 3-1. Tonight, we have Game 4 between the Knicks and Pacers. How Game 2 was about the pressure being on the Knicks and they folded. What happens in Game 4? Because now you can say that the pressure is now on the Pacers this time, because there's a big difference between going up 3-1 or going back 2-2. Big difference. A lot of Spurs fans are having heartburn watching the playoffs right now. We'll get into that because players are balling out that the Spurs could have gotten, right? We see players like Jalen Williams go off for 36 points yesterday. We see players like Tyrese Halliburton, like other players for the Pacers who've done well that you look at it, Aaron Nesmith, and you go, oh my God, we could have had that player. Do you get heartburn watching the NBA playoffs? We'll talk about that. I sent Joe a link a couple days ago over the weekend. We'll get into ESPN ranked the 25 best NBA free agents this offseason. What a pile of basura that is. We're going to sift through that rubble there, right?
One of the things I wanted to talk about too, Mike, and I wanted to show this to you as well. Yesterday was the anniversary of the infamous Memorial Day Miracle with Sean Elliott, doing the infamous shot, tippy-toeing out there by the three-point line.
Biggest shot in Spurs history.
Well, that's the thing. Which is the biggest shot in Spurs history? Because you have the little general hitting that corner jump shot that won San Antonio its first NBA championship. You have the infamous Memorial Day Miracle with Sean Elliott, which propelled the team to go to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history. You have the infamous 3-point shot by none other than Tim Duncan against the Phoenix Suns. That last second heroic that he just did. You know, he was wide open beyond the arc. They gave him the ball. Rest was history. He sunk it down, and he had the infamous, we finally saw some emotion out of Tim Duncan. Other shots that were big as well, the Robert Horry shot, against the Detroit Pistons, that made the team win another chip, and it propelled them to Game 7, So it's like you have all these other shots too that were just as impressive. What's another one you can think of, Mike, beyond just those?
I can think of some negative ones. I mean, we've had some that come against us. It was the Ray Allen 3 against us. It was Charles Barkley who turned the lights off at the Hemisphere Arena. But as far as positive ones, the ones that came to mind was Robert Horry's as well, man. The one you're mentioning back in 2005, that was a big shot as well. I think most recently, Wemby's 3-pointer to get him to 50 points, his first 50-point game, that's pretty big. But the greatest shot in Spurs history will forever be the Memorial Day Miracle. And that happened 26 years ago yesterday in 1999. And it's big for a variety of different reasons. It is the shot that propelled us, and we became the team of destiny. We talked about that when it comes to the Indiana Pacers, right? They feel like the team of destiny because things are going their way. When their backs are against the wall, they're down 7, down 8, down 9 points with less than a minute to go. No problem. They'll come back and win that game. Team of destiny type of stuff. The Spurs had never been a team of destiny back in May of 1999. They did not have one chip in their bag, right? Not one NBA championship.
And it was an NBA shortened season, the lockout.
Yeah. But beyond all that, though, we had lost games to the Rockets. When Akeem Olajuwon just destroyed David Robinson back-to-back years. We had lost to the Portland Trailblazers, and back in the day, the Seattle Supersonics and the Trailblazers back in the 70s.
Yeah.
But this one right here set in motion Tim Duncan's era. It set in motion Tim Duncan's fantastic career of 5 championships, done 85-83, 12 seconds ago at the Alamo Dome.
Shall we watch it?
Let's watch it, baby. Courtesy of NBC Sports way back when, 26 years ago. Pass down the sideline. One dribble. And in.
What a beautiful court that was, man. That's one of my favorite courts.
Yeah, to think that you win 86-85 or something to that effect. I mean, that was bad basketball, man. When the games were 80-something to 80-something, it was bad basketball.
It was just defense, man. Nobody was making shots.
Right. The best play of this was Sean Elliott for the dribble and taking the 3 and making it. The second best play was the trail official and the lead official not calling Sean Elliott out.
He was tiptoeing.
Because you could have called him out of bounds because it's human error. He was in bounds, right? You look at the replay, he most definitely was in bounds because he caught it on his tippy toes. He pivoted on his tippy toes, shot on his tippy toes. His back half of his foot was out of bounds, but it didn't hit the ground.
Look at that. Bam.
So it is a legit shot. But if an official had called that out of bounds, you would have to understand because in real time.
Look at where he was at, Mike.
Yeah. In real time, you could easily have said that he was out of bounds and gotten that wrong.
Yeah.
But the official let it play out, man. So props to the officials for that. He makes it. The Spurs make their way to the NBA Finals, beat the Knicks in New York to win it. With all due respect to Little Generals, 15-footer on the left-hand side, that won us that title. But guess what? We were going to win the title anyway. Right? We didn't need every shot. Every shot was the nail in the coffin. We didn't need it. We were going to win that title anyway. So it's just one of those things where I think the Memorial Day Miracle will go down as the greatest because it's so dramatic. The execution, the degree of difficulty was so high. Memorial Day Miracle, Joe. Then Robert Horry, by the way, when he was just knocking down 3 after 3, and that dunk that he had against the Pistons in the fourth quarter, also up there for me as a Spurs fan.
Yeah, we have our first pick already coming through here from the media share. It's funny, dude. I'm going to show it on screen. Thanks to whoever sent it. And it's anonymously. I'm not sharing nobody's personal information here, but it's pretty funny, dude. Somebody put, "Good morning" from Tom Cruise.
The Marbach. You know what's sad? He rocks it pretty hard, man. He rocks it pretty hard.
Look at the tattoo on his neck, 210.
Over at River Center Mall, of all places. He goes over there.
Dude.
So we'll get into that. Alex M reaches out to us and says, seeing Chet Holmgren win a ring might light some fire under Wemby. You know he hates that guy. Okay, so it's interesting because Chet Holmgren isn't the best player on that team. I know a lot of people are coming at it from that angle. I would understand if Chet Holmgren was the best player on that team. And I saw this debate all last night, all this morning on Spurs Twitter about it. But the fact of the matter is Chet Holmgren is what? The fourth best player on that team?
Yeah.
So if he wins a chip, they don't win because of Chet Holmgren. They win because of a team collective effort. They have the MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They have Jalen Williams, who's a star. They have other good players on that team. And when I watch that team play, I don't think to myself, oh my God, Chet Holmgren is just, this beast. I don't look at Chet Holmgren as though he just pops off the screen. He doesn't. He's just a dude. He's a good player. He's a great piece. He can knock down some threes. But let's not all pretend that Chet Holmgren is like anywhere near the league of Wemby when it comes to talent. He's in a better position than Wemby because, Wemby came to a team that was decimated and didn't have any good players. Chet Holmgren last night with 21 points on 9 of 14 shooting had a big game. Don't get me wrong. Big game. 7 rebounds. Big game. But they're going to the NBA Finals not because of Chet Holmgren. They're going because of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They're going because of Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams with 34 points last night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 40 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds, just 1 assist away from a 40-point triple-double. That's why he's the MVP. Gets a lot of calls, but that's why he's the MVP, Joe. But people are looking at this, and they see that Jalen Williams, Joe. I am saying this right now, and I'm not going to throw people under the bus, but there's local people who are in the media who will never say it, never come against Jeremy Sohan because they don't want the backlash that I get, Joe.
Oh, I've heard the chatter before.
I've heard several people in the media, not 1, not 2, not 3. It's kind of like the Arneson River Theater, the championship with Pop. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5. I'm hearing from that many people of local media who are like, you know what? Maybe that Jeremy Sohan's a bust.
You know what's funny?
We could have gotten Halliburton. We could have gotten Aaron Naismith. And then we look at players like Jalen Williams, could have gotten him too.
Yeah, I can co-sign with that because there's been conversations that we have had with members of the media. We're not going to say who they are, but what they are paid to say on TV differs from how they really feel, because they can have their own opinion too. They're just reporting the news, but at the end of the day, they can have their own opinions. They can form their own opinions and say, hey, we feel this way about said player or what's going on. And those are private conversations that we've had, and it's funny listening to, hey, I just saw this guy reporting on the sports and look at what he's saying. He's thinking the same thing we are, so it's funny.
Oh my God, dude. It is brutal, man, because Jalen Williams is such a good player. He became an all-star as well. He's a stud player, and we could have gotten him. He fell all the way to the second round. We had 3 first-rounders that year, and we didn't get him.
Oh, look at Matt Lerma.
I'm thinking of the wrong Jalen Williams, by the way. Jalen Williams was taken. Let me see here. There's multiple.
Mike, he's back. Matt Lerma says, Mike, you talking crazy. You sound crazy talking about Sohan. I'm still here, Sohan.
2022 draft, Jalen Williams was taken he was in the first round. He was like in the teens, number 12. So he was taken right after Halliburton, right after.
Yeah.
Actually, Halliburton was 20. He was taken right after Jeremy Sohan.
Did you see this, Mike? Somebody just sent us this via the media share again, and I'm going to show it on screen. This is kind of comical, man. I saw this. This is Nate Diaz, and he was like on a podcast, man. He had video of him talking, and he was saying that the movie Roadhouse was his role instead of Conor McGregor's. Like they had given him the role. He was supposed to portray the bad guy, right? But then they told him, "Oh, well, you're gonna lose in the end in the movie, and you're gonna lose to Jake Gyllenhaal." He's like, "I ain't losing to no Brokeback Mountain." He's like, "I can't do it." He's like, "I can't do it." So they went ahead and gave the role to Conor McGregor instead. But that was supposed to be Nate Diaz in the movie. But I thought that was funny. His comment, "I ain't losing to no Brokeback Mountain."
Okay, so Jake Gyllenhaal. When I think of Jake Gyllenhaal, I don't think of Brokeback Mountain. You make it sound like that. You make it sound like that's like the only role that he ever had.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal has been in so many different movies. To pinpoint one, yeah, go ahead and double down on your homophobia, right? You lost twice, asshole. I mean, one because you're a homophobe, and you lost a second time because you lose out on money, you lose out on clout, and all that stuff. No one was gonna say that, right? How homophobic do you have to be homophobic about yourself, right? It says more about Nate Diaz than it does about Jake Gyllenhaal, dude.
Well,
And
look,
I've never seen that movie. There are people who say that it's a decent movie. It was nominated for a lot of Oscars and whatnot, but that doesn't mean anything. Was that Everything Everywhere All at Once or whatever that's called? Was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
or was it Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yeah, that is the worst movie I've seen of the 2000s, and it won all the awards, right?
Exactly. Look at this, Jesse A. That's ego getting in the way of payday. Absolutely correct.
That's exactly right, man. That is exactly right.
And look at Henry Lopez, Diaz capping. He can't act.
And first of all, that whole Roadhouse sequel I did watch. I wish I had never seen it. It's on Amazon.
It was garbage, dude. Garbage.
It's on Amazon Prime. The original Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze was amazing. It is fantastic cinema. It is a bad movie that is so good at the same time. And that's the funny thing about some of these movies, Joe. I look back in time. We talk about the biggest actors of all time. We talk about Tom Cruise because the Mission Impossible movies are coming out, and he has made billions of dollars of box office sales. But there's this second tier of actors, right? The top tier are the Tom Cruises, the Tom Hanks, the Harrison Fords, the Denzel Washingtons, those types of actors, right? Very highbrow, right? A lot of them get nominated for awards or whatnot. Tom Cruise never won anything, but those are highbrow. But let's talk about the second tier of actors, Joe. These are people who are not necessarily stars. Like, they're not thespians where they are highly regarded as actors. They're not Christian Bale, right? But there's this second tier, Joe, of Patrick Swayze, of Keanu Reeves, of Woody Harrelson,
Vin Diesel,
Wesley Snipes. Where you look at these actors, Mark Wahlberg, where you look at these actors and go, okay, they might not be the greatest actors of all time, but they entertain me, Joe.
Yeah.
They entertain me. And it's funny because you look at Patrick Swayze. I was watching Point Break again the other day.
Yeah.
He is Bodhi, man. I mean, that's one of the best movies of the 90s, and no one considers it as such.
Man, Patrick Swayze in that film was pretty good, too.
Mordecai, more men in tight jeans and Roadhouse than Brokeback.
God.
Now, I've never seen Brokeback Mountain, but the sequel to Roadhouse with Conor McGregor was unwatchable, Joe. Unwatchable. Speaking of unwatchable things, I'm at the DraftKings Sportsbook yesterday in Lake Charles.
Yeah.
Everywhere, signs of Jake Paul. Jake Paul is fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I don't know. It's going to be like in a month or so. And it's Jake Paul with this, he's looking like he's screaming into the camera.
Yeah.
It is the year 2025. We're not watching him anymore, right? Because I sure as hell am not going to talk about him anymore. Whoever he fights from here until eternity, Joe, I will never speak of a Jake Paul fight.
Jake Paul.
I will bow the F out, then talk about Jake Paul ever again.
The Jake Paul thing it's just an exhibition fight. That's all it is. It's just something that would be would be put on for free for the public, an exhibition fight. It's not sanctioned. It's not a pro fight. There's no belts being exchanged, anything like that.
Then why are we watching this shit?
Because people are getting up for that because
Advertising, marketing.
What they do is that they have a deal in place with Netflix and whatnot. So what happens is that they put together some legitimate fights right on the undercard. And some of those fights are pretty good. And people are going to get up to watch that. And they're going to charge because, hey, the star of the show is going to be Paul versus a has-been, that he's going to wind up being able to dispatch easily. But you're looking at the undercard fights, and those are a lot better than the main event. People just watch the main event, and they're paying for it because they want to see Paul get knocked the hell out. But that never happens.
Because he won't fight anybody who has the capability of knocking him out. He's always fighting somebody who's either, 60 years old in Mike Tyson, who's somebody who's 50 pounds lighter, 4 inches shorter. He doesn't fight a fair fight. So what's the point? What's the point? And I'm looking at that advertisement there. It's going to be on Days In or whatever they call it, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, who cares? Like, if people get amped up for this, then there's a problem for you as a sports fan. Like, how do you get amped up for a Jake Paul fight anymore? Early on, okay, the curiosity factor of the whole Mike Tyson thing, I told everybody Mike Tyson was going to get his ass handed to him. Why? Because he is 60 years old or nearing 6 years old. That's the fact of the matter. And I'm just looking at it going, he brought out a name, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., right?
Yeah.
Just to bring out a name. It's so contrived. It is one step above mainstream wrestling, Joe. Yeah. And it sucks. I'm thinking to myself, who's going to watch this? Who's going to bet on this? Why would anybody do that anymore? I reached that point with Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Doesn't have Floyd to thank for the exhibition fight, the pay-per-view stuff? He's the one that started it.
Well, just to the point of Floyd Mayweather Jr., the last 8 fights I didn't watch. Why? He was just going to be doing this the entire time and not
running around the ring.
Run around the ring. It was bad boxing.
It's the same thing that happens with Canelo.
Science. No, it wasn't. Yeah, Canelo's gotten to be kind of.
It's the same thing.
Kind of boring.
Yeah.
And that's why Terrence Crawford, who he's fighting next later on this year. Terrence Crawford is a very entertaining boxer. He's someone who will beat the living crap out of you, and it's fun and entertaining to watch. But he's going to go off and fight Canelo. Canelo is 2 sizes bigger than him.
Yeah, has to go up in 2 weight classes. Crawford does.
Right.
Yeah.
So what?
Canelo's advantage.
And you know what ends up happening? So he has to gain the weight, right? Canelo has to lose it, and then he'll balloon back up to what he is because he's going to dehydrate himself.
Yeah, that's all.
The last 2 weeks or so, and then he's going to get back to his weight. So really, it's about a 40-pound weight difference. In actuality, is what it's going to be. And one's going to be bloated, and one's going to be just rehydrating. Boxing, man, dude. And then when you see Ryan Garcia, lose like crazy.
Yeah,
it's getting to be where there needs to be a new star, because Crawford and Canelo, fine. God, would it have been great 5 years ago? Would it have been great 8 years ago?
We got another guy from the media share is asking for some help here. He's Jonathan Pettis. He's asking if anybody knows where he can go ahead and cop that shirt, the one that Coach Pop is wearing that says San Antonio 2-0. So everybody's liking the media share so far, man.
That is a good looking shirt.
It is.
It's a Nike shirt. I like it. Is that an official Nike shirt? I'm going to assume so. I'm going to assume Pop is not buying it from the flea market on Eisenhower Road, right? He's not going to the pulga, as Mike Taylor would say.
No, man, this is a legit shirt. It's probably from maybe a couple seasons ago or something, but
yeah,
where you can.
Look at shirt.
Yeah.
Now, over the weekend, it was actually I think it was Friday. TMZ released 911 audio of Popovich when he had the issue at the restaurant a few weeks ago.
But why though? Like, at the end of the day, I have this take on it, Mike. There's certain things that should be kept private, right? Like if it was our family, like if it was our father, right, and he was famous or whatever, and somebody had video of him or audio of what's going on as far as the dispatchers and all that, would you want that to be made public?
Yes.
No, man.
It's part of public discourse. It's one of the things where, and the reason why I say yes is because I wouldn't want to have that with my family or whatnot, but it is part of the Freedom of Information Act that anything involving the fire department, anything involving the police department, when it comes to what goes over dispatch, what goes over phone calls, is allowable as public record.
And this is exactly correct, Jesse A. Someone had it and sold it to TMZ. Probably that's exactly what happened. Some scum of the earth person took that video, got the audio and whatnot, and then sold it to TMZ, making a profit off of it.
Well, the audio, I could get the audio whenever I wanted. If KSAT wanted the audio, if WOAI wanted the audio, they would have gotten it.
But they don't.
That was their decision, was that they didn't want the audio. Now, I didn't play it. I read the transcript of it all.
Yeah, I didn't play
it. Basically, someone was saying that that the person who was having an issue, which was Popovich, was unresponsive. And later on clarified and said that it wasn't as bad as being unresponsive. It just was not responding well. Right? There's a big difference between not responding well and being unresponsive. Unresponsive makes it sound like you're coding, right? Like you're dying, right?
Yeah, I mean,
but it was a little bit different. But when it comes to this, Express News, KSAT, CANS, WOAI, San Antonio Sports Star, Ticket 760, all could have had it. They just decided not to. All you got to do is fill out a Freedom of Information request, submit it in, and you're going to get it. I don't think this was leaked by the fire department. I don't think this was leaked. I just thought that TMZ decided that they wanted to go get it. The TMZ was following up on a story that they wrote. I could be wrong, but it's not like TMZ couldn't have gotten it, because the city of San Antonio is obligated to send it, because it's not part of a criminal thing. They're obligated to do it.
When I saw that TMZ released, and I saw people retweeting it, I was like,
what the fuck is this?
Like, really, dude? What is this? What are y'all doing now?
It's
like
clickbait.
There's stuff that they can report on as far as, hey, this is what happened with Coach Pop. The team released information. He suffered from a stroke. Okay, great. I get that. But releasing kind of personal stuff like this that you didn't consent to because he was at a restaurant.
It's a public thing, Joe.
I'm like,
it's like the person who filmed the video, right?
Yeah, that's scum of the earth, dude. You're gonna sell it to TMZ.
You are in public. You can do that. You can record what's going on in public. And if you get to the point where you're cherry picking what you can and can't see, then what ends up happening is that it unravels, right? It is public domain. It happened with a city agency in the fire department and all that stuff. Again, KSAT could have had this. They decided they didn't want to, right? But TMZ, different outlet, right? They're not headquartered in San Antonio. They don't care if San Antonio has backlash on TMZ. They got it. As far as us getting something from the Spurs releasing information, we all know the Spurs are full of crap when it comes to releasing information.
They're not releasing nothing. Yeah.
They're not going to release anything. So if you're going to try to find out what happened, that's the way to go. But TMZ, again, as Hand Over Fist says, no ties to local media, no ties to the Spurs, no ties to the city of San Antonio. And Sam Salinas reaches out and says, because San Antonio media are all afraid of the Spurs, they don't want to lose their credentials, which is why, Joe, you and I have never asked for Spurs credentials.
No, because we're going to talk about and we're going to say whatever the hell we want. I mean, about kissing the Spurs ass or the Brass's ass because, I want media credentials and I'm going to go ahead and paint you all in a great light like you all want every other media person out there to go ahead and give you all these praises that you're doing everything right. And Pop we trust and Spurs we trust. F that, dude. I'd rather pay for my own seat, sit down, watch it, and if I have an opinion, I'll talk about it.
First of all, I love the Spurs.
Yeah.
The front office, they can kiss my ass.
Exactly.
I really, I mean, it's just one of those things where you look at the Spurs front office and they are dictators when it comes to things, right?
Yeah.
It's beyond all that. Why doesn't the city of San Antonio have an NFL team? Because of the Spurs. I mean, it's been reported by Joe Rideagle, San Antonio Sports Star, over at Ken's 5, that he had, witnesses or testimony of people saying that it was the Spurs that killed the Saints coming to San Antonio.
I've seen how this team operates in person. I was at an event one time, and they had, I think it was Bryn Forbes at the time, parading him around the radio station and whatnot. And they asked him, "Hey, man, would you mind coming into the studio real quick with us and taking a quick picture?" "Yeah, sure." Spurs brass goes, "No, no, no, no. You all have to come out into the hallway." What's the big effing deal? If he came into a radio studio, and took a picture versus coming out into a hallway and taking a picture, it's the same damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense, but the Spurs brass want to control everything. They want to be in control of everything. It's just asinine.
Well, they do, and it falls in line with Pop. That is Pop's background. He was very much a militaristic type of guy. They run it a certain way. That's just what they are, right? and I have no desire to go off and meet Wemby or meet any of the Spur players. I mean, if they were out and about, or I was at the Las Vegas Review or Las Vegas Summer League games, I'd want to take a photo with them or whatnot. But as far as the idea of going to interview players, dude, I've interviewed probably 100 Spurs players over the years, right? And I haven't had that opportunity in a while because I don't care to.
Yeah.
Joe, you and I could be post game at Spurs games every game and call ourselves insider, right? We could do that. We have the number of subscribers needed where that they would give us that, right? We see other podcasters locally who go to games and they go do the post game interviews, and some of them do a really good job.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, guess what those players are going to say? Nothing.
No.
They're not going to
ask them
nothing.
questions. You can't ask them real questions.
The only thing that they'll answer that is legit, that is, coming from their mind, their hearts, has nothing to do with sports.
No,
or with the Spurs. You can talk to them all day all day about movies and music, and you can talk to them about video games and anything that is not on the basketball court. They'll be more than open with you with, right? Yeah. You and I could have a conversation with Keldon Johnson. Remember Keldon Johnson going off about his love for Mariah Carey back in the day?
Yeah.
You can get that type of story out of them. But if you try to get something about who they are, the functionality, who's, within the team, Pop, or whatever the case would be, you're not going to get a damn
I would
thing.
ask Devin Vassell straight out if I had media credentials. Can you give me an explanation as to why you're so inconsistent? This has been your MO since you've been here.
Well, it's like that.
Went and paid you a lot of money for you to be inconsistent when it really matters.
Well, a fact of the matter is that there's a lot of players out there who on this team that have been inconsistent. Devin Vassell's been inconsistent. Julian Champagny.
But Devin Vassell's getting paid a lot of money to be more inconsistent than the other players.
That is true. But the fact of the matter is that, when talking to players and interviewing them, they will kick your ass out if you try to be as pointed as asking it that way.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I remember I pissed off Tim Duncan a long, long time ago. I pissed him off one time. He just gave me a look and he kind of got upset. He didn't get angry or anything like that. But Tim Duncan missed a free throw that would have tied a game, and Spurs lost by 1, right? It was he was fouled a second to go. He needed to make 2 free throws and he missed the second of 2. And I asked if he was nervous. It was because he was young. He was probably 21 years old. He was probably first or second year. And I asked if it was nervous, if there was nervousness in that moment, right? I didn't say, "Hey, did you choke?" Right? I just said, "Hey, man, you're a young player, man. Was there a little bit of nervousness on that? You're at the free throw line, game on the line, national TV, all that stuff." And he just gave me a deadpan look. It was next, right? It was the audacity that I had to ask that. But that was back when I was at KSAT, and I was
who let the peasant in?
I was the same age as him. You know what the funniest thing, man? The funniest thing, and I talked with him years later about it, was Ricky Williams. I interviewed Ricky Williams when I was 21 and he was 21.
Was he high?
No, he was having a meltdown. He was having a
he had anxiety, bro. Real
an anxiety
bad.
meltdown.
Yeah,
he refused to take off his helmet and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what the funny thing is that he became close to my former brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And we hired Ricky Williams for an event as a public appearance. He loved the family and ended up hanging out the whole day. Like he was only supposed to be there an hour. He spent like 4 hours with the family, got people's phone numbers, and my former brother-in-law would go out and hang out with him. And every once in a while, he'd come by to family events. It was interesting. Ricky Williams was a nice guy. I saw Ricky Williams in Radio Row. I believe it was in Phoenix for the Super Bowl. He was being interviewed by Jason Minix. And I went up and I introduced myself to him again. I said, I don't know if you remember me, but and I named the people in my old family that he was friends with. He lit up like crazy, man. When you got Ricky Williams on a one-on-one basis and not in a scrum of reporters, that freaked him out. But you get a one-on-one, there might not be a nicer person in all of sports that I've ever met than Ricky Williams. Nice man.
Look at this. This is funny, dude. Sam Salinas. He's referring to your conversation with Timmy. He says he wasn't mad about the question. He was still mad because you wouldn't ball with him.
He's like, I remember you, man. You were at the Racquetball and Fitness on Babcock and Callahan Road. That was you, right? No, but that was fun.
Stop the cap.
The embellisher, like Chico says.
And then there was that. Did I ever tell a story about the one time that Pop made fun of me at a pregame interview? Or actually, it was either a pregame or a postgame interview. I was trying to ask a question about the bench, right? I was trying to ask a question about how the bench was not looking good or something. I think I used that phrase. Like, the bench is not looking good these days, something like that. And then he runs over to the bench and he's like, what, you don't like the color? You don't like the scheme? You don't like the whatever? Like, you're talking about the literal bench as opposed to me talking about second unit.
Yeah.
And then he tried to like show me up and all that stuff. That was actually a good thing in retrospect because Pop only does that to those. It's like an initiation.
Yeah.
You know, I hope Pop's getting better, dude. You know.
Yeah. Hopefully he is getting better. But there's something else that I was going to talk about too, because we do have the NBA Summer League that's going to be coming up here, and I know Spernandez is going to be heading out there again. It starts on July the 10th. It goes and runs through the 20th over in Las Vegas. And I think it was Hanover Fist that was saying too that he plans on going out to partake in the NBA Summer League and check out, some of the Spurs young players out there. But a lot of people don't understand that when you go to that Summer League, it's more than just watching the San Antonio Spurs ball out. You get to see a lot of the talent that's going to get drafted here. Some of the top marquee talent, be able to see them in action with their respective teams. And not only that, but you get to see like CEOs and all these other teams, the front offices, like you're going to see Brian Wright out there, and representatives from other teams out there. You're going to see former players, current players out there, coaches. It's a whole bunch of things that you will have access to that you don't necessarily see anywhere else.
That's on my bucket list of things to do and cover is the Summer League, because there is a different setting. They're not in their hometown.
Yeah.
They're not with local media. A lot of the media out there are podcasters. A lot of the media out there are just, fan related things, right? It's not media related things. It's fan related issues, fan related bloggers and podcasters. It's a different vibe. It's a much different vibe. And then you get to see the next great coach, right? You would see a Mitch Johnson there in years past, not knowing that he would be the successor for Greg Popovich. So that's a lot. That's good fun out there. You see a lot of these talented players that are trying to live their dream, that are going to make their way to the G League and hopefully get a two-way contract or whatever the case may be. They're fighting for their dream. Yeah. So Spernandez, hopefully we'll get some reports from him when he's out there.
He'll be our correspondent while he's out there. I'll make sure to
Very
let
cool.
him know. But go ahead.
I was going to say, talking about the Spurs, I was going to send you, or I sent you the other day, ESPN's ranking of the top 25 free agents this year in the NBA. And a lot of Spurs fans like, oh, we got to pick up somebody in free agency. There's nobody there, man. There's nobody there.
They've all been signed.
And this is what it's all about. It used to be that players would play out their contract, then hit the free agency market. Now players are scared to hit free agency because they want to get the bag. They want a guaranteed money. They want a guaranteed contract. So they re-up before they become free agents. So the idea of we're going to have all this money for cap space,
Go
down
after
the road,
Giannis.
go after this star player. It's fiction. That's the way things worked in the 80s and 90s. In 2025, hoarding cap space only helps facilitate trades. It doesn't help facilitate free agency because no one's going to be a free agent, right? No one of substance. Now, here are the top 25 free agents. Tier 1, according to ESPN, saying these are star players who are not going to move anywhere. LeBron James, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Julius Randle, Fred VanVleet. They are not going anywhere.
No.
They have player options. They're going to stay, right? Tier 2, proven starters in prime. There's Miles Turner, who's had a good turn there with the Pacers. He's probably going to stay. He goes, but then you have these restricted free agents who all the team has to do is match an offer they get elsewhere. Josh Giddey, Quentin Grimes, Jonathan Kuminga, Keon Ellis. Those are all players who are going to basically stay with their team as a restricted free agent.
Yeah.
So now we're down to the tier 4. Starters who are aging. Dorian Finney-Smith, who's 32 years old. 37-year-old Brook Lopez. 40-year-old Chris Paul. Al Horford, who's in his late 30s. And then you have some good reserves who are good for the second unit, but really this is the best of what's left, Joe. This is the best that the Spurs can do. Ty Jerome, guard from Cleveland. Malik Beasley, shooting guard from Detroit. Naz Reid, forward center from Minnesota. Karis LeVert from Atlanta, who's like a 2-3. Gary Trent, who's also a 2-3. Santi Adams and Nikolai Alexander-Walker. Tim Hardaway Jr., Dennis Schroeder. That is what's left. That's what's left. So you're going to throw money at Naz Reid, that's great, but the analysis of Naz Reid is he's good as a second unit type of guy. Maybe you play him 28 to 30 minutes, but he's the sixth man, the seventh man on the team. We need somebody down low to start along with Wemby down low, unless Wemby's going to be forced to go inside, which is what I hope is what happens. Is I hope that the Spurs getting Dylan Harper is going to force Wemby inside, because the Spurs are going to look at it. They have to tell Wemby, look, man, we've got 3 perimeter players that need to be out there. We have Castle, we have De'Aaron Fox, we have Dylan Harper. Those guys need to stay on the perimeter, which means somebody needs to go in, and maybe it should be you.
You know, you said a name there that there's some chatter here about, and that's Chris Paul. Sam Amico from Amico Hoops heard this through the Steinline podcast over there, and they're saying that Chris Paul is not expected to return with the San Antonio Spurs, and I think that's something that everybody kind of knew, you know, but seeing that he's going to be 40 years of age already, where can he actually go at this point? I think he should just go ahead and retire, but if he wants to play one more year and he plays with another team, he's going to have to get comfortable coming off the bench, man, because
that's true.
We don't have it no more, man.
Does he want to win a NBA Finals, have that one chip in his career? Because he doesn't have one. They call him Point God. He's one of the best point guards of all time. Does not have an NBA championship. He's not going to win with the Spurs this year. He's not going to even play with the Spurs this year, as far as even if he wanted to come back, there's no room for him. Him playing backup his final year, he would need to still at least get starter minutes for him to do it. And people are saying the Mavericks would be a good option, especially with Kyrie Irving out. That's a legitimate place right there, because you have a young guy, Cooper Flagg, with Anthony Davis, and you've got some veteran presence over there. Dallas might not be that bad of a place to go. You can look at backing up a player, maybe being a backup in Denver.
Eric Cisneros says, what about the Lakers?
No, because the Lakers already have a point guard. His name is LeBron James. They already have a point guard. His name is Luka Doncic.
Look at Hooper Flash says he wants a farewell tour. That's why he'd come back.
Farewell tours are for champions. He never won anything. I remember back in the day, Joe, the farewell tour of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, where he'd go to all the different stadiums, and everyone would give him like a token of appreciation. I remember the city of San Antonio and the Spurs organization gave Kareem, if I'm not mistaken, like a rocking chair, not like a fold out chair,
Yeah.
like a lazy boy, not a rocking chair, like a lazy boy type of thing. That was pretty funny. They gave him boots and a hat, all that stuff.
Everybody giving him trinkets.
Let's talk more about the NBA playoffs in a second. We also got to get into Caitlin Clark. Which one do you want to do first, Joe? We're going to give some love to MCS General Contracting, but we got to get into Caitlin Clark as well because people are calling me a hater, Joe. They're calling me a hater.
All right, let's give him some love. MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business, honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show.
All right, MCS has that diamond hard concrete. We have the number for you. It's area code 210-774-9155, 210-774-9155 for that diamond hard concrete. They do a fantastic job, not only on the residential side. They do businesses. They do government work as well. If you need a parking lot done, if you need a slab done for a home or for a building, they can get it done. Swimming pool, pickleball court, basketball court. They do it all. 210-774-9155. If you need a business or home to become ADA compliant or ADA accessible, 210-774-9155. Let's show my number as well, dude. 210-508-0369. That's my number. I'm celebrating my 20-year anniversary in financial services this August. But if you have questions about retirement planning, life insurance, disability, long-term care, you have an old 401k, old IRA. Heck, if you need help with your auto and homeowners insurance, give me a call, 210-508-0369. Joe, we really need to tone down the whole Caitlin Clark love, dude. We got to tone it down. Is she a good player? Yes. Is she a top 10 player in the WNBA? Yes. Is she a top 5 player? Maybe. But we got to tone it down a little bit, Joe. Do you think, Joe, that the Caitlin Clark worship has gotten to be a little bit out of control? Because I saw something. I don't know if you want to show my Twitter account, but I reposted this the other day, a couple of days ago over the weekend. The betting odds for who's going to be the WNBA MVP, according to various sports books like DraftKings and FanDuel, had Caitlin Clark, and I believe at a -105 or a -110. And they had other players, if you could scroll down a little bit. There it is, right? -105. -105 is basically saying a 50% chance of winning the MVP. The 50% chance of her winning an MVP. And you have Collier at +140, Asia Wilson at +600. If you're -105, that's Vegas's way of saying it's a coin flip. That basically you can have a bet that says it's Caitlin Clark or the field. Give me the field.
Look
Caitlin
at Jesse A. He says Caitlin Clark is just a dude, not generational, according to Mike.
She is a very, very good player who's going to be a perennial all-star. But to quote my good friend Alex Noriega, who's one of our listeners, right? One of our viewers, Alex Noriega texted me over the weekend. Caitlin Clark had a triple-double, 20 points, 10 assists, and 10 turnovers. She once again leads the league in turnovers. And last year, in her rookie year, broke the all-time record for turnovers in a WNBA season. Didn't just break it, Joe. She more than doubled what the old record used to be. It's so funny watching Caitlin Clark play because people are so enamored with her three-point shooting because she can shoot from 5-6 feet behind the arc and has that Steph Curry in her. And she also can pass the ball pretty well and has some pretty decent vision. But, dude, she can't play defense for crap, and she's a turnover machine. And guess what? That team is now 2-2. And Caitlin Clark, by the way, is now injured and is going to miss the next 2 weeks with a quad issue. She ain't going to win the MVP. Not going to happen. She'll be an all-star. That's great.
Yeah.
She'll be an all-star. But let's not say that she's not a Wilson or a Collier. It's not even a Kelsey Plum, dude. Kelsey Plum is better than Caitlin Clark is right now. Caitlin Clark might be better than her overall down the road, but I think we need to tone it down a little bit, Joe. I'm glad the WNBA is getting love, but Caitlin Clark being minus 105 before her injury, according to Bovada, to win the MVP, that just shows that it's a bunch of fanboys who are filling a bunch of Cowboy fan bandwagoner type players, type gamblers on it. It's awful.
And Caitlin Clark gets a lot of hate from her peers as well because, let's face it, man, she's just more popular than they are. She gets more opportunities than they do.
And you know what? She deserves the popularity. But at the same time, Joe, it's one of those things. What has she ever won?
Nothing.
Did she ever win a high school championship? No. Did she ever win a college championship? No. Did she won a WNBA championship? No. She's never held a trophy in her hands. And you point that out to people, and they go, well, she can shoot threes. Dude, she averages 5.5 to 6 turnovers a game. Remember what I told you last week, Joe? What did I tell you last week? I said, Joe, after 2 games, she has 6 turnovers. She had 5 turnovers after 2 games. I'm like, she's at 2.5 per game. She's getting a little bit cleaner with the ball, Joe. Then what happens? 8 and 10 turnovers. She's back up to 5.5 per game. It's a turnover machine, Joe. It's like she can't dribble. It's weird. She's a good passer, but she can't dribble. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing, Joe. But Caitlin Clark, out for 2 weeks. Everyone's going to turn off the WNBA, right? I wonder if all those televised games, do they flex those games?
What's going to happen, right?
You know what? I've seen 2 of the 4 Caitlin Clark games this year. She's not the best player on her own team, much less the MVP. She doesn't stand out as the best player on their team.
Early on, though, in the season, though, and she's already injured, so
it's not an 82-game season, Joe.
It's not an 82.
They play like 40 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm just saying she's already injured early on in the season. What is that going to say about her longevity? Because more than likely they're going to rush her back, right? Because she's good for ratings. They rush her back. She plays again, couple games. What if she gets injured again, misses again? It's going to be bad for ratings. She misses let's say a longer period of time this next time. What's that going to do to the league? People aren't going to want to go see games if she's not going to be in it. And let's face it, man. Angel Reese is Angel Reese. She's going to be popular in her own right, but she's not Caitlin Clark.
Angel Reese has regressed.
Yeah.
She had a very good season last year, and I think that a lot of the memes and hurtful tweets and all that last year were not really showing what she was doing. She was a really good player last year. Maybe Angel Reese has regressed because maybe she's gotten full of herself. Maybe she's taken the popularity to heart. Maybe she wants to be more of a star than a basketball player. Angel Reese played good last year. She was an all-star last year. This year, she's been sucking ass. Call it what it is. She has regressed so far.
She misses a lot of shots too.
She does. She's not a shooter though.
No. But the shots that she does miss, sometimes they're point blank in the paint, right under the rim.
She's a very, very good defender. So it's one of those things where try to
Ferris too, Mike.
She's Jeremy Sohan.
I knew that was coming.
Speaking of Jeremy Sohan, did you know that the shooting percentage from 3 this year, Caitlin Clark, the one who's supposedly going to be the MVP according to Bovada, her shooting percentage is almost identical to Jeremy Sohan's.
Oh,
and I know it's only 4 games in, but when you shoot 9 a game and you're shooting 31%, come on, man.
You comparing now? I knew it was going to happen.
She scored 20 points. She shot the ball 18 times. She better score 20 points.
You know what that's going to get from me? Because I knew that was going to come sooner or later, where you're going to compare Jeremy Sohan and Angel Reese together. That gets the Kawhi laugh. Who
is Caitlin Clark? Because it ain't Steph Curry. Just because you knock down threes. Who's a player that is somebody who can get a lot of points, but also is bad defensively and gives up a lot of turnovers? I know who Caitlin Clark is. She's Carmelo Anthony.
Oh, bro.
Carmelo Anthony was a bucket, dude. Carmelo Anthony was somebody who would score 28 points per game. Carmelo Anthony was somebody who could lead the team to the playoffs, could also be an MVP candidate, would shoot a bunch of shots, make a lot of shots. At the end of the day, was never a winner.
You're going to label Carmelo a loser,
Tavares says she's Dame Lillard. I mean,
Dame time.
Dame time. Don't they call women dames? That's
a
type of dame time.
Man. Look at this one, Joe Gonzalez. Reese is Ben Simmons.
Well, who is somebody who took the popularity too far? Was that Rodman?
Who's another one that was popular but probably not very good?
Popular but not very good. Well, she's an all-star, so that's where we need to start when it comes to it all, man. Because we can't just say that she's Dwayne Shinsis, right? We have to say that she's somebody pretty decent. But it's just one of those things where
2 point guards come to mind where they were pretty good, but they weren't like they're not in the Hall of Fame per se, or the Hall of Very Good maybe.
We're trying to compare Angel Reese, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying like
but Angel Reese is a power forward.
No, but I'm saying like players that were popular but not like elite, like they were popular but not all that great. Stephon Marbury, Damon Stoudemire, for example, players that were known but not really like propelled to stardom. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. She's more popular than that though.
Yeah, but it's more the celebrity for Angel Reese at this point. Somebody who was a champion in college. Oh my God, I figured out who she is. She's Christian Laettner.
What was the name of that other one? Cherokee that used to play here with the San Antonio Cherokee Parks. Oh God.
Well, let's look up Angel Reese's stats real fast. I'm looking at him right now. She averages 14 points per game. I'm sorry, mistakenly. She averages 9 points per game, 14 rebounds per game. So I mean, she's getting 14 rebounds per game. I mean, she shoots better from 3 than 2. How is that possible? How is that possible?
There ain't nobody out there.
She shoots in the low 30s. Okay, how about this, Joe? Weird stat of the day. Angel Reese has a higher 3-point shooting percentage right now than Caitlin Clark.
There you go.
The more you know. The NBC, more you know. Angel Reese is shooting 33.3% from 3. Caitlin Clark is shooting 31% from 3. Wow, Joe. The things that you learn. The things that you learn. I like Tavares is going with it. Angel Reese is Sohan.
Caitlin is Damian Lillard.
Isn't it sad that Angel Reese shoots better threes than Keldon Johnson?
Keldon Johnson. What about your boy Sohan?
Keldon Johnson, Sohan, and Caitlin Clark. Hey, it's just the math. Alamo the Rise, Angel Reese is the Joakim Noah of the WNBA.
Remember Joakim Noah with the Bulls, bro?
Bulls
Come
back
on.
Today. No, I like Christian Laettner. I like the Christian Laettner. Well, Laettner was a 3-point shooter. So I'm going to take that back. Yeah. I don't know, man. She's the Ben Wallace of the WNBA.
Ben Wallace.
Ben Wallace was somebody who led the leagues in rebounds, right?
Yeah.
She's Ben Wallace. That's funny.
God, let me go ahead and take that off screen there. But that is funny when you draw those comparisons, because I mean it's early on in the season. That's the disparity between the stats and what's happening in reality. Caitlin Clark is going to be injured. She's going to be out for 2 weeks at least.
Yeah, with the quad issue. And quad issues, I mean, that affects your shooting, right? Because when you shoot, you feel it in your calves, you feel it in your quads. I mean, that's probably the two big muscle groups when it comes to shooting. I don't know if that's affected her 3-point shooting this year. Again, she's shooting under 31% or right at 31% for the year. Put up her stats, Joe. Put up if you can, Caitlin Clark stats.
Okay.
Who would have thought there'd be a day where this is more popular than the NBA, man? But it's true. These games have been fire. You look at players like Kelsey Plum and Asia Wilson and Sabrina Ionescu and all these girls going out there and playing some solid ball out there. But
And
here's
this is
Caitlin
what you
Clark's
have.
stats. So Caitlin Clark's stats, averaging 19 points per game, which I believe is 7th best in the WNBA. Not the tops, that's 7th best. 6 rebounds, 9 assists, right? Shooting 40% from the field, 31% from 3. So when I say, Joe, that Angel Reese, who has fewer shot attempts from 3, is shooting 33%, it is not a lie to say that she's shooting better from 3 than Caitlin Clark, right? Effective field goal shooting, Joe, of 49.2, which is basura. Straight up trash, Joe. That's an awful effective field goal shooting percentage. And you say, well, it's only 4 games. Only 4 games. Well, she shot 51 last year, which I guess in the WNBA is getting close to I. But scroll down, Joe. Scroll down. Let's get to the turnovers, Joe. Get to the turnovers. She is averaging 5.5 turnovers per game. That's probably not on that page, but I looked it up. She's averaging 5.5. Oh, there it is right there. Turnovers per game, the third from the right, 5.6. 5.6 turnovers per game. Brutal. But, again, the season's young. Caitlin Clark out for the next couple weeks. People want to talk about the OKC game. Let me ask you something. Yeah. Mordecai asked about the OKC game. Let me ask you this, Joe. A lot of the chatter that I saw on Twitter overnight were people complaining about how the game ended between Minnesota and Oklahoma City yesterday. Okay, so Oklahoma City was ahead almost the entire game. Oklahoma City in the fourth quarter held on to their lead. Minnesota was getting close. They got it to within 2-3 times. Could never tie the game. Would get close. Oklahoma City would make a layup. Get close. Make a 3. Get close. Whatever the case. SGA would go to the free throw line. They could never get it past. They could never tie the game. Ultimately, Oklahoma City wins 128-126. But let me ask you this, Joe. The way the game ended was Oklahoma City up by 3, and on 2 consecutive possessions to end the game, they purposefully fouled Minnesota so that Minnesota did not shoot a 3 to tie the game. It's like Oklahoma City refused to play defense. Instead, they allowed it to be a game of free throws down the stretch. Because, again, you can't give up 3-pointers if you're fouling them away from the basket and sending them to the line on purpose to shoot 2. Of course, you can make 1 and then try to miss the other one on purpose and get the rebound and whatnot. But Oklahoma City did not allow Minnesota, the opportunity to shoot a 3 to tie the game. And there are a lot of people on social media there today are pissed off about that by saying, on one half, someone's saying, well, that's smart ball. Wouldn't Pop have done that? Yeah. Right? Others are saying, well, that's not the spirit of the game. The spirit of the game should be play defense and let the other team try to tie the game. They want to have that, Joe, where they're saying if a team that's winning does an intentional foul, because we know when they're intentional, that maybe there should be a rule in place that in the last 2 minutes of the game, the team that's leading cannot intentionally foul another team. Do you want that to be a rule, Joe?
I don't think it needs to be a rule. It's just good strategy. I mean, that's part of the game as well, having a great coach that's going to formulate a plan to give you the best chance of winning down the stretch, especially in crunch time. You're taking matters into your own hands by fouling said team and making it a free throw shooting contest. I see nothing wrong with that. If you don't like it, that's just part of the game. It's strategy. How is it any different from the Hack-a-Shack from back in the day? While it wasn't sexy by any means and nobody liked it because it would stop the game and it got boring, it was very effective because it forced teams to do what? Take Shaq out of that fourth quarter.
Right.
Make him a non-factor.
But the difference, though, Joe, is that with the Hack-a-Shack, it's being done by teams that are down 5 points. They're trying to catch up. This is a Hack-a-Shack moment, essentially what they're doing.
Yeah.
But they're winning. They're ahead when they're doing
it. There's nothing wrong with that strategy. You're taking it into your own hands. You're not giving Minnesota the opportunity to go ahead and force a 3, or maybe they get lucky and they just drain a 3. That's great strategy there. Why not? Go ahead.
I'm playing devil's advocate, Joe, with
Yeah.
this because I can see it going both ways. I see what you're saying. It is great strategy, and if I was a head
It's
coach, I'd be
not
doing the same thing.
it's
Pop
not
would have done the same
exciting.
thing.
It's not exciting. I think that's the thing. It's like it's a punk's way to go ahead and win the game, kind of like just running out the clock. They inbound the ball and you just run away from everybody, and they have to chase you down to try to foul you. It's strategy.
Magic Johnson used to catch the ball and roll it down the court. He used to throw it up in the
Yeah,
air
it's strategy.
to waste the last 2 or 3 seconds. So this is not
It's
a
all
new thing.
strategy.
I think is that it takes away from it's anticlimactic, right? It's one of those things where it just we want to see are they gonna tie the game? Is there gonna be a great shot, a moment like the Memorial Day Miracle, but for them, right? Instead, it's you can't make 3 points from two free throws. So
You know what is disappointing?
We're gonna take it away from you.
Look at the way
okay. Well, I was just gonna say it's bad TV, is what I'm saying.
it is bad TV. It's not theatrics. The theatrics that you want to see at the end of the game. Miraculous comeback, something like that. That's exciting. That's iconic. But if you look and see what the Timberwolves didn't they just beat OKC handedly? They were up by like 40 something points, and it just seemed like they just couldn't miss. Their offense was flowing. They were doing a lot of things out there on the court that kind of, they just came out and just laid a haymaker on OKC from the get-go, got them out of their rhythm offensively, didn't let them get in any type of rhythm. They just didn't have it that night. And then you come out and see how OKC responds. And it wasn't a exciting game per se. It was kind of boring. And then you had Doris Burke come up with the controversial comment saying that Shai is just how did she put it? A free throw merchant.
Yes.
That's what he's become. That's what he's resorted to. And they were kind of even showing on social media. This is what OKC used to see back in the day going towards the rim, and they show pictures or videos of Russell Westbrook going in and just slamming the ball because of his athleticism and speed that he had. And now you look at Shai, and he's just going to the free throw line, going to the free throw line, going to the free throw line. They even asked him about, those comments and everything at the end of the game. He doesn't really care. He's like, well, I get to the free throw line. I'm a foul merchant or whatever.
That's right.
Yeah, he's going out there and just, shooting free throws. It's part of the game. It's not exciting, but I think what happened with the Timberwolves is they schemed against OKC, and they just didn't make enough adjustments when it mattered the most, and you didn't get enough production out of your star players. They kind of all but faded.
The starters weren't even keeping Minnesota in. It was all the bench players, the role players that were making it happen.
I'm just saying your star players just faded away.
What I found interesting is that, I watched a couple of the quarters from yesterday's game, and I watched the end. When I was watching the games in the second and the third quarter, what I enjoyed watching what Minnesota was doing was they were taking the ball down low. Like the idea that Oklahoma City is so good of a defensive team because of their length, because of Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams and all those guys down low, you needed to attack. Like you need to attack, and you look at the stat lines. Minnesota shot well from three. They shot over 50% from the field. They shot like 43% from three, and they still lost. This is a battle between two defensive teams that went off shooting-wise yesterday because they went toe-to-toe offensively. Knocking down a three, I can knock down a three.
Yeah, Minnesota didn't get any stops.
And in any other scenario, Minnesota wins that game against any other team by shooting 43% from three and doing so well yesterday, keeping the limiting turnovers and all that stuff. You look at it, Joe, that just shows you the greatness of a team like Oklahoma City where they can be playing poorly defensively and still win. And they didn't ever have that game get tied up. It just didn't happen. It got down to 2, then it accordioned back out to 5. Got down to 2, accordioned back up to 7. It just it was like a brick wall.
Yeah, it's the foul merchant.
They got the stops when they needed.
The foul merchant.
Well, let's talk about the foul merchant, right? 40 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds. Call him the foul merchant if you want. And in high school basketball, Joe, we have the ability to call a technical foul on a flop. And I know that they do that defensively in the NBA, where if you're a defensive player, you're flopped, you can be admonished for that. But it needs to happen for offensive players, man, because offensive players were getting to the point where they were kicking out their legs. Dame Lillard used to do that all the time. You kick out the legs, or you go up instead of a normal shooting motion, you kick out both legs and you try to draw contact that way. And the officials weren't adjusting to that. And then they had to go back to the drawing board and go, how do we officiate that type of game?
Yeah.
So they changed the rules. Something needs to happen when it comes to trying to bait players into a when you're flopping or faking an offensive type of thing. You've gone to bars, Joe, if you're still there.
Oh,
but here's the thing. I look at it this way. Doesn't Luka Doncic do this? Luka Doncic was in the finals last year.
There I am.
What does Luka Doncic do? Luka Doncic does a play where he gets the ball on the wing on the 3-point line, where he gets the defensive player behind him, and then does what? Slows down. He slows down for a second. Why does he do that? To keep the defensive player behind him and to also draw contact from behind, right? Because the defensive player is trying to get back in position, and they always foul him. And then he puts his – Duncan would always do the same thing. What would Duncan do? He'd catch the ball, he'd lower it, wait for somebody to come down and try to swipe at it, and would do what? Move his arm, get slapped, and then he'd go up and would shoot free throws, right? Duncan was a foul merchant himself. Manu was as well. It's just we don't like seeing it. It's bad TV, but it's great TV when the Spurs do it, right?
Yeah.
But Luka Doncic does the same thing. Luka Doncic is trying to – he goes into plays. He doesn't just get fouls. He tries to draw fouls. I think that's the problem with a lot of basketball fans right now. They're looking at SGA going, he's not trying to get his shot. He's trying to get fouled. That's like going to the batter's box hoping to get a walk.
Hey, you know what I was going to say too, Mike? The show's going to be coming to an end here too. I kind of briefly wanted to mention what was going on with the Trinity Tigers here. They're headed to the World Series, man. NCAA Division III College Baseball World Series. Trinity Tigers going on there, going ahead and competing in the big show.
That's amazing, dude. We have a lot of good local teams out here. It's more than just UTSA. UTSA, by the way, their baseball team had a 40-win season. It should be on the College World Series at some point in the next couple of weeks or so. We look at Trinity Tigers and their team. Dude, the number one player in drafted in the NFL draft this year played it in Incarnate Word, Cam Ward. It's not all about UTSA. We've got to spread the love a little bit around.
And we also had something else that was kind of important here that I kind of wanted to mention. A big business happening here this morning with the city council. This being reported by Spectrum News too. Mm-hmm. And it's the San Antonio morning briefing is going to be talking about the city council beginning to ask for community feedback on the sports and entertainment district, meaning Project Marvel. They're going to want community feedback now. They're going to open it up to us, and anybody can go and talk and voice their concerns, ask questions and whatnot in regards to what is Project Marvel, and the questions are, how is it getting paid for? What is the actual plan? What's going to happen? Because it seems like a lot of this planning that's going into Project Marvel isn't really being shared too much with the community. There's still a lot of things that people don't know, and they're wanting to go ahead and get feedback from the community themselves. So it's your time to go ahead and ask questions and voice your concerns about this said project.
I can already hear what's going to end up happening. We already know what's going to happen, right? You're going to have the Eastsiders come out and come out, get all mad. This was supposed to happen on the East Side. There was never development over there. Keep the AT&T Center or the Frostbank Center. And it's like, I'm sorry, but no one wants to build on the East Side. It just is what it is, man.
Look at the Frost Center right now. What's around there? Absolutely nothing.
You cannot force business to go where business does not want to go. And plus, there was no space there, Joe. I mean, it's funny because this whole idea that it was going to go to the East Side and there was going to be this revitalization of the East Side. What were they going to move? The Freeman Coliseum? No, they weren't going to move that. Were they going to move the railroad tracks? No.
No.
Were they going to move Willow Springs Golf Course? No. Were they going to move the big red Coca-Cola bottling plant across the street? No. Where exactly were they going to build?
It was a bad decision, bad area. Should have been built somewhere else. You know what would have been the perfect spot for it? If they had built it downtown, if they would have just kept it downtown somewhere, but no, they just dropped the ball when it came to that. They did want to keep it downtown at some point in time, but you couldn't just get the city officials to agree on a spot.
Well, here's the thing. The Spurs wanted it to be over there on the east side. That's the thing, is that they wanted it to be there.
No.
For
The
one
Spurs
reason or another.
New arena, and that's all they were going to get, and they settled for it.
The fact of the matter is that you look at the Frostbank Center. It's not going to go away. It's just going to be used for other things. The Alamo Dome, as ugly and hideous as that place is, guess what? Is profitable.
It's paid off.
It's paid off. You know what it's like? It's like a paid off Toyota Corolla. An 8-year-old Toyota Corolla. I mean, it's not fancy. It maybe does have a CD, player in it still. Has a lot of miles on it, but it runs well.
2012 Toyota Corolla. Doesn't have a backup camera, CD player, but it still works. Got cold AC.
Yeah. The Alamo Dome is fine, dude. Went to go see Post Malone perform there with Jelly Roll a couple weeks ago. Does a fantastic job. There was no issues with that stadium. It's not an NFL stadium. It's not anything like that.
It's ugly, Mike. It is dated. I can see why they want to revitalize it and update it, and then they're going to package in with the new Spurs arena. They want to build another little hotel down there, another little venue for, concerts and whatnot. I get the whole thing as far as how they want to go ahead and build this. At the end of the day, I'm not truly sold on Project Marvel, and I don't think the community is going to be sold on it at the end of the day. A lot of the renderings and the things that they want to happen aren't going to happen. I think they'll have a new Spurs arena downtown, but that sports district that they're going ahead and they're touting to the community, it's not going to come to fruition.
I think it's going to happen, and I think it's going to be jammed through. I think the whole thing about community, the community speak out and all that stuff, it's just meaningless platitudes.
How are they going to get there? That's the thing, is that they don't have the infrastructure downtown as far as the public transportation that a city of San Antonio should have.
No one does public transportation, Joe. If you do public transportation, okay. Our good friend Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs. He was from New York City. Well, he's from San Antonio, but he lived in New York City for 20 years. They take the subway.
They take the train.
Normal and affluent people take public transportation over there in New York, right? My old brother-in-law, who was a doctor over there, when he moved back to Texas, he hadn't driven in 10 years, right? Driven a car in 10 years. Public transportation in San Antonio, no one takes it. No one takes park and ride to Spurs games.
Because they only have the bus.
But the whole public transport thing in San Antonio. Remember earlier we started the show by saying that San Antonians love weather? San Antonians hate public transit. San Antonians will never ride a Via bus.
You know what they would have ridden to get around downtown? A light rail system. But every time it comes up to a vote, the patrons here, the community, votes against it because they don't want to see progress happen, dude.
Light rail's great from San Antonio to Austin, San Antonio to Houston, San Antonio to Dallas. That's great. A light rail around the city, no one's going to do it. We're addicted to our trucks. We're addicted to our SUVs. We're addicted to our caddies. We're addicted to all of that stuff.
But you know what? They're addicted to all that, and then they complain about the freaking parking and how it's going up in price. Well, you know what? You would have paid less to get around town if you had light rail here. Shame on you. Keep on voting against it, and don't complain when you're paying $100 for parking to go downtown to see a venue.
Here's the thing, Joe. Just call it what it is. The Spurs and the city of San Antonio do not care about three sides of town. They don't care about the East. They don't care about the South. They don't care about the West. Why? Ain't no money there. So they're going to get this public record, and they're going to go, oh, well, we'll take that into consideration. Thank you so much. They're just checking mark a box of things that they need to do before they jam this through.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm glad they're going to jam it through because you know what? Takes money to make money, Joe.
What is
Takes
it
money to make money.
What's that scene?
Scared money don't make money, you know?
They're going to jam it on through. Eastsiders are going to be all crushed because they never built over there. But then again, it's like, well, you know why they didn't build over there? Because no business wants to go over there.
You know what the city council says about the gentrification on the east side?
I don't give a damn.
They don't give a damn.
Look at the gentrification near downtown where the Pearl used to be. That used to be just, I mean, all the houses over there, property values shot up, which means tax rates shot up as well. Do you think they care? Do you think the city of San Antonio cares that people who live along Broadway can't keep their houses? No, they don't care. Tax revenue's going up, baby. That's what they care about is tax revenue.
You're going to have all this nice sports district and everything, and you're going to have shitty parking, dude. And you're going to be complaining about spending $100 all the way up to $60 to park downtown to go to this sporting district.
Speaking of $100 parking, by the way, I spent $60 on the Jelly Roll parking the other day.
Yeah.
There is a sign for the Indiana Pacers game 4 tonight, 7:00 tip off.
I saw that.
What do you think about a parking lot charging $20 for Pacers fans and $100 for Knicks fans?
Is what it is. It is what it is. You know?
It's a great sign, dude.
Yeah. So you want to come and watch a game? You wearing your Knicks gear? It's $100, baby.
Yeah. What's Sam Salinas say? He wrote a thesis over here saying, "Oh, Mike, but now you're getting into geographical cultural differences. Can't tell us to be like in NYC, New York City. Public transportation is wildly inefficient. Nothing
new happens until we see a difference.
Right. Well, I mean, but part of it is, Joe, we like driving over here. I mean, there's only one time. You know what public transportation I take, Joe? Uber. And you know why I take Uber? Because I'm going to go get my drink on.
Hey.
You know what I would never do? Take a bus to a bar. Why would I take a bus to a sporting event? I've done it before, Joe. Like I've done the Alamo Bowl. My brother-in-law was like, "Hey, I have several brother-in-laws, by the way, over the years." He was like, "Hey, you want to go to the Alamo Bowl? There's a parking ride at Crossroads." Never again, Joe. Never again.
No parking ride for you.
It's so easy when you take the bus via. No, I'm gonna do it again. I'll never get on a bus ever. You know what? Do you want to get on buses, Joe? When I'm being shuttled from hotel to the airport or airport to the car rental place. I'll take that bus to get into the car rental place so I can get a car and get the hell out of there. Come on, man. You know why? Do you know why City of San Antonio doesn't care, or the Spurs don't care about those taking public transit? They look at them and think one word, Joe. Peasants.
No,
that's
God.
what they think.
No mames otra vez.
That deserves chancla time, bro.
You get
chancla. You get the chancla for that.
We have Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs at Ken's 5. Don't forget to follow him at Jeff G Spurs Zone on Twitter and Threads. Does a fantastic job. I'm oftentimes on. Joe, you're oftentimes on the show as well.
We didn't even give Jeff some love. We got to play it, dude.
Let's do it.
Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@Locked On Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
That's right. Mexican Gina reaches out to us on our YouTube stream, by the way. Our chat powered by MCS General Contracting, saying so many new audio drops today.
Yeah, man. That's what happens when I start hanging around LG, and he's showing
Yeah.
me like, hey, I'm doing these audio drops. I'm like, oh, cool. It's like I put it together too. I have the soundboard and everything. Mike, you have your own. So when you're in studio, you can have your soundboard that you play with over there.
Yeah, Mexican June also says the Via puppets are going to come attack you in your sleep for saying that.
God, man. You remember that commercial? You remember all the little Via puppets, the little Via buses singing Via.
So, can I tell a tall tale before we leave?
Oh God, here we go.
It involves Via. I'm 1-0 in Fiesta fights, and I was almost 1-0 at Via fights.
Oh my God.
My ex-wife, she was bad about road rage. She brought it upon herself, dude. She was awful. She would be this one who would like roll down the windows or yelling and all that stuff. So you don't do that. Okay, so I'm not going to say that she was innocent. But she did that one time on Culebra in 1604, and the dude got out of the car and threatened her.
Jeez.
But I had to be chivalrous, right? Even though at the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, chick, did you yell? Did you
Stop the cap.
Did you gesture at them? But she was all shaken up about it all because I think the guy, I don't know if he had a weapon or whatever. Either way, right? Not cool because, I mean, that's a woman, dude. I mean, I have road rage, but guess what I'm never going to do? I'm never going to get out of the freaking car, right?
Why not? You're 1-0 in Fiesta fights, bro. You ain't afraid of nothing.
Oh, but it's stupid, dude. Road rage, really? So anyway, she tells me this and says that he had she got the license plate. She had said that he had like a Via logo on him. And I went to the Via headquarters the next day, which is right across the street from SAC. Found his car. And I was like, okay, I found his car, whatever. I go inside and Via has like their own police people there. And I told them what happened. And I told them I know the person who it is. And yet I know their car and all that stuff. And I was pissed. And they're like, we're going to call the cops on you. And I was like, call the cops. I'll tell them what happened. Anyway, the guy never came out, right? Because he was a big old puss, right? He wasn't going to face the facts, right? But guess what? The person that went and road raged my ex happened to be an executive at Via. So, shout out to Via and the puppets. The puppets were the only good thing, though. But there was no fight that happened. He didn't approach me. I didn't get a chance, but I went and complained, and it turned out that was the guy.
And you know what I say about that?
My detector test determined that was a lie.
Sam says he pulled out a cuete.
No, bro.
I have my tennis racket ready in case he did.
Yeah, that's going to stop the bullet, Mike. Jeez, bro. Mike's violent. Mike has violent tendencies.
You need a cool story, bro. July 26th, you need a cool story, bro. Alert, Joe.
Alert. So we can say, cool story, bro. That says they revoked your Via pass, Mike.
Tony says that was the weakest of the tall tales, so it must be true. Joe, how much does it cost to ride the Via bus? Back in the day, it was 40 cents.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's gone up now, man. I don't know how much it is now. I think almost $1 or something. Who knows?
Let me see here. How much does it cost? I'm looking it up right now. Via fares right now.
With the tariffs?
You can get a monthly pass for $20.
It's not bad.
Oh, my God. Oh, we were talking about UTSA baseball. The World Series, College World Series brackets, thank you to whoever mentioned that, by the way. The College World Series brackets have been announced, and the top two of each regional advance.
Yeah, you got Trinity, UTSA in,
Well, I mean, I think UTSA is in the real one.
They're in a different division. Yeah, Trinity is in D3.
D3, right?
Yeah.
So UTSA, who won 40 games for the first time ever this year, is in the bracket with the second-ranked Texas Longhorns, Kansas State, and Houston Baptist. Again, the top two advance to the next round. UTSA plays Kansas State first in their bid to make it to the College World Series, and that game is going to be Friday, May 30th, this Friday, in Austin, 6 p.m.
Yeah. And we got a lot of new stuff to mess with here. Now that we have this media share system in place, wanted to say thank you to those who participated. We appreciate it. We showed your pictures and everything that you sent us here. But again, we'll go ahead and share the I guess the texting phone number here throughout the show. We'll do a better job of showing the phone number that you can go ahead and text to send us any of your photos, links, videos, that kind of stuff to make it part of the show.
If it's possible, the headline banner where it says Area 210 on the top of the screen, or it might need to be like above that.
Yeah,
and
we'll put it up here.
There.
Yeah, we'll put it up here periodically throughout the show. It's called media share. So if y'all want to share any types of links and media with us, then, go ahead and do that. If y'all wanted to share pictures of the Via puppets, y'all could have sent us that via the media share text number. So we'll make sure to do a better job of showing you all that number. That way you all can send us more of the media share information.
Very cool. One last story. Tony Ornelas is saying that a 6-year-old gangbanger was looking to beat him up when he was 12 when he was on a Via bus. Anson Jones, Pin Road stories. That's also exit 7-ish. That leads into J, right?
Anson Jones. What was funny, dude? Like about 2 years ago, something like that. I went to go and pick up my son from high school. He was over here at Stevens. And as I'm turning the corner to go pick him up, I see one of the parents up there that's always there to pick up their kids in front of Peace. He's getting into a dust up with one of the kids there, man. Like arguing with the kid, they're getting in each other's faces. Parents had to intervene and get this guy that was probably like in his 40s, push him away from the little kid that he was arguing with, because it looked like he was about to throw hands with like a 7th grader, little 8th grader. I'm like, come on, man.
Joe, do you think we're going to have old man strength?
I think so, dude. I mean, I think that's a natural thing.
It just becomes part of us as who we are later on in life. We get old man strength. Oh, come on, JHNSB. I know nothing about the technicalities of the technical aspect of this show. Joe is the one who works the hardest at this show. I just show up and start talking. He does all the background. He uploads things onto Spotify. He's the one who buys the equipment. He's the one who owns the equipment. It's his studio when I'm out there. And I hope to be out there full time, Joe, beginning next year, because towards the end of the year, Chica and I are sending each other, what about this house? What about that house? What about this house? And we're looking more and more like a Lotus might be the play, but we're in this lease till the end of the year.
Yeah. Next time y'all are out here, I'm going to have to see if I can get half the day off or something so we can all do lunch together, because I haven't done that with you in a long time. And it'd be cool to go to lunch with you and Chica. And then I can tell her, oh, Chica, we had a great show today talking about the podcast, just so I could see her roll her eyes.
She rolls her eyes. Yeah. Oh, Joe, I'm going to put a poll question out there for tomorrow. She's making fun of me because of something that happened about 6 months ago. The first time I went to Miami to meet her daughter, because her daughter goes to college over there.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this tomorrow. We're going to poll question on this one.
Okay.
I want to know your opinion on this. If you find a cell phone,
okay,
and it turns out you take it in case you turn it in or whatever the case may be, and the person who owns it calls you and says, "Hey, do you have my phone?" And like, yeah, you left it someplace. I'll go meet up with you to go turn it in, right? And you go give them the phone. You didn't do anything to it. You just handed them their phone back, and they're very grateful. They're also very wealthy. And they tell you all the important things that were in their phone. My business records are in there. My tickets to the football game, my blah, 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 blah. He was going on and on and on and on about all this stuff. And he goes, "You saved us. Here's some money."
Hey.
Do you take the money or not? Because that happened to us back in like November.
The good person in me would be like, "Nah, man, it's good. I'm all right."
Yeah.
If they want to give you money, I would be like this. If you want to give me money, you know what? I won't accept the money. But if you want to make a donation on my behalf to an organization that I get behind or something like that, I'd do something like that instead.
All right. So the guy was like very, very nice. And his wife was like, dude, we wouldn't be able to go to the game because the tickets are on the phone. And they had really like fifth row seats at the game and all that stuff. They offered money and they insisted like 4 or 5 times to give us the money. And Chica's like, nah. And I'm like, nah. But the 5th time I was like, so swiping the money was not the wrong thing because she was making fun of me about it 6 months later. 6 months later, she brought up this story and was like, I cannot believe you took his money. I was like, well, he insisted.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would have taken the money. I'd be like, I probably would have donated it to charity or something, you know?
It wasn't much. It was enough for 2 rounds of drinks.
Yeah, but I'm just saying still, I mean, I would have donated it to Casa or something like that instead, you know? I'm good. I mean, I got $250 on my money clip.
Yeah, Chica gave me $100 the other day. She was like, hey, I went to the ATM to get some cash, and here's some cash. I looked at her like, what am I going to do with this? She's like, so walking around money. Like, I have a debit card.
Dude, you always need money. I'm telling you, Mike.
Never.
You have to have money. I have money on my money clip. It's an old school thing that my grandpa always taught me, dude. I'm going to always have money on the money clip.
Even vending machines don't take cash anymore, Joe.
I always have money on the money clip. I'm telling you, I had money on my money clip for such a long time that surely but slowly it dissipated and I added more to it again.
I went to the Alamo Dome for that Post Malone concert. They don't take cash. The parking didn't take cash. No one takes cash anymore, Joe.
That's what you say. Like, I bet you anything what's going to happen. I'm going to be out with you somewhere and they're not going to accept the debit card because the system's down and I'm going to be in the clutch. Boom! Here's the money clip. Here's the cash. Money, baby.
Mexican Junior says, take that $100 to Rounders. LOL. It wasn't $100. He tipped me 50. I wish I could take 100. It was $50, which is enough. In Miami, that's like one round, right? I mean, that's like $20 drinks over there. That's funny, Joe. Again, the UTSA Roadrunners play Friday night, 6 p.m. in Austin.
Yeah.
On the road to the College World Series. It'd be fun if both Texas schools, well, actually, Houston Baptist is also there. But it'd be fun if UT and UTSA made their way over to the next round. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool.
You know what's funny now is that, like, my kids don't even pay with the debit card now. They just pay with the Apple Pay or the Google Pay
Cash
now.
App.
Yeah, no, they just get the phone and they just put it over the little card reader now, and bam, they're done now. They don't even take their wallet or anything. It's like even that's becoming a thing of the past now.
Dude,
you know?
I went to a gas station the other day, and I don't know why I asked for change of something because Chica gave me like a 20, and she was like, "Hey, can you go get some change?" Oh, I know what it was. We were gonna go to we were gonna check into a hotel, so just in case we need some tipping money.
Yeah.
So she was like, and she was like, "Go get $20 in change." They didn't have it, and she goes, "How are you gonna tip these people?" I said, "Cash App." She goes like, well, what's Cash App? I'm like, how are you the only person who doesn't know what Cash App is? She knows what Zelle is. She knows what Zelle is. And she's like, so you keep another wallet? I'm like, yeah, I got some money in there. That's what we're gambling with today. Dan. Apple Pay School.
I see it, man.
Joe, we did an hour 45, baby.
Yeah, we went over today.
Very, very nice. Well, we'll be back tomorrow. Tonight, Knicks Pacers. Who you got, Joe? It's in Indiana.
Pacers, man. They're going to finish them off.
I say Pacers by 7 tonight.
Yeah.
I think they'll cover the spread. They'll win by 7, and they'll take a stranglehold. And I'm going to be looking forward to that Pacers OKC finals, man, because that's going to be a good matchup. That's going to be a better matchup than most people think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Very nice. Everyone have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for being part of the show. We'll be back tomorrow. Spurs in 5.